slid across America's highways like a streak of silver, the low rumble of a diesel engine, the sunlight dancing off those ribbed aluminum sides, and above all, a promise to carry a generation toward freedom, toward new horizons. This was the Greyhound Silversides, a bus that never shouted for attention, yet became a quiet icon of the 1940s. More than 7,000 of them rolled across the nation, hauling soldiers home, students to college, workers to new jobs, weaving themselves into the memory of America itself. But what was it about this simple machine that turned it into a legend? And why, more than 70 years later, does its image still linger as a monument to the journeys of an entire era? By the late 1930s, Greyhound had already grown into the largest bus company in America. Its silver dogs crisscrossed the nation, linking cities and towns in a way no other carrier could match. But behind the proud image, there was a problem. The fleet itself was aging fast. Heavy steel coaches, powered by thirsty gasoline engines, struggled to keep pace with the rising tide of passengers. They rattled and groaned down the highway, costly to operate, and far from the modern image Greyhound wanted to project. That was when General Motors stepped forward. Through its yellow coach division, GM saw an opening to craft a bus that was lighter, stronger, and far more efficient. A machine that could carry the Greyhound brand into a new era of travel. In 1940, the PD 3751 was born. Its introduction was bold, but the timing could not have been more turbulent. War soon engulfed the world, and production slowed to a trickle, yet the design was in place, waiting for its moment. That moment came after 1945. Soldiers returned home, families reunited. America was on the move again. Highways buzzed with life, and Greyhound needed a modern fleet, not in hundreds, but in thousands. By 1947, the Silversides rolled out in force, answering the call of a nation eager for mobility. It wasn't just a new bus, it was the right bus, at exactly the right time. What set the Silversides apart was not only its timing, but its look, a design that turned heads the moment it rolled onto the highway. Gone were the boxy, brick-like shapes of earlier buses. In their place stood a body made of aluminum, with sleek ribbed panels running the length of its sides. Under the sun, those ridges shimmered like the scales of a fish, and that is how the bus earned its enduring nickname, Silversides. Its rounded profile gave it a modern, almost aerodynamic presence, projecting speed even when it stood still. From the driver's seat, the Silversides carried the hallmarks of its era. The split windshield, a signature of 1940s styling, provided decent forward vision, though later generations would prefer the wide, single-pane glass. To passengers and bystanders alike, though, it gave the bus a distinctive face, instantly recognizable on the road. Beneath that aluminum skin lay its greatest strength, the Detroit Diesel 671 engine. Mounted in the rear, the six-cylinder workhorse was tough, fuel-efficient, and vastly more reliable than the gasoline engines it replaced. Operators could count on it mile after mile, while Greyhound benefited from lower costs and fewer breakdowns. At 35 feet long, seating 37 passengers, the Silversides struck a perfect balance. It was compact enough to weave through crowded city streets, yet spacious enough to handle long-distance runs with ease. In every line and every detail, this bus was built not just for service, but for the image of a new America, one that was sleek, modern, and forever on the move. No other bus of its time spread across America quite like the Silversides. Between 1940 and 1948, more than 7,000 were built, an astonishing figure for that era, and they quickly became the backbone of Greyhound's operations. For nearly a decade, if you saw a Greyhound rolling down the road, chances were it was a Silversides. From the great transcontinental routes stretching coast to coast to the modest runs linking small towns and county seats, the Silversides was everywhere. Its ribbed aluminum sides flashed across desert highways, rolled past prairie farms, and wound their way through city streets filled with neon and post-war optimism. For many Americans, it was not just a bus. It was the face of modern travel itself. The timing could not have been more significant. As soldiers returned from World War II, families reunited after years apart, and migration within the country surged. The Silversides carried GIs back to hometowns, students off to college, and workers chasing opportunity in booming industrial centers. It became, in every sense, a vehicle of reunion and renewal, and it was more than just a sight on the highway. Greyhound proudly showcased the Silversides in advertisements, selling the dream of affordable, comfortable long-distance travel. Its image appeared on postcards, tourist brochures, and even in Hollywood films, embedding itself in popular culture. For a whole generation, the Silversides was not simply transportation. It was a silver thread weaving the vast American landscape into one connected journey. For all its glory, the Silversides was not without its flaws. What had once felt revolutionary in 1940 began to feel cramped and dated by the end of the decade. Seating only 37 passengers, the bus was quickly outpaced by America's growing appetite for travel. As highways filled and ticket sales soared, Greyhound found itself needing larger, more spacious coaches. Inside, comfort was limited. Air conditioning was still years away, so passengers relied on small fans and sliding windows for relief. On sweltering summer runs across the Midwest or the Deep South, the ride could feel stifling. The seats, while serviceable, lacked the plushness that travelers soon came to expect. For long-haul journeys of hundreds of miles, fatigue set in quickly. Even the bus's strengths carried their own burdens. The Detroit diesel 671 engine was renowned for its durability, but it required constant, careful maintenance. Mechanics knew it well, yet keeping it in prime condition demanded time and expense. The ribbed aluminum sides that gave the Silversides its beauty also posed challenges. Dust and grime clung stubbornly to the grooves, and minor collisions often left scars that were difficult to repair. By the late 1940s, progress was catching up fast. New models like the PD4101 and later the PD4104 offered more room, better amenities, and a sleeker image. Against them, the Silversides began to look like a relic of the past. Admired, yes, but already labeled a bus of a bygone generation. Yet despite its shortcomings, the Silversides never lost its place in America's memory. Through the 1940s, it became the most familiar face of Greyhound, the bus that people saw in their towns, their cities, and in the postcards they sent home. For countless travelers, it was the backdrop of reunion, adventure, and opportunity. More than just a machine, it came to symbolize the post-war explosion of highway travel. Families could visit relatives across the state, young people could strike out for new horizons, and soldiers could ride home to the embrace of loved ones. The Silversides carried not just passengers, but the very idea of freedom in motion. It reminded Americans that the open road was theirs to explore. Its design left a lasting mark as well. Those ribbed aluminum sides, once so modern, set a style that GM would refine in later generations of coaches. The look carried forward into the 1950s, shaping how the world envisioned a modern American bus. Today, only a handful survive. Some rest proudly in transportation museums, while others are lovingly restored by collectors who see them not as relics, but as living history. When one appears at a rally or a show, older Americans pause, smile, and remember. For many, a glimpse of the Silversides is enough to bring back the long rides of youth, the chatter of fellow passengers, the rhythm of tires on pavement, and the feeling that the road could carry you anywhere. The Silversides was never flashy. It didn't roar onto the scene with bold styling or cutting-edge luxury. And yet, in its quiet way, it became one of the most enduring symbols of mid-20th century America. It stood as a witness to the post-war boom, to the growth of cities and highways, and to the memories of millions who rode its silver sides through 2 golden decades of change. But what about you? Did you ever see one, ride on one, or hear the stories of those long journeys it carried? Share your memories and thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to hit like and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next story of the machines that shaped our history.